So we are talking on the topic of self-regulation today. And what do we mean by self-regulation? Let's break it down piece by piece. First topic that we're going to talk about is the self. What do I mean by the self? Who is the self? So very first thing is self is me and everything that makes me the person that I am. Okay. The very first thing, we exist in different areas of life. One is, of course, the physical body and how I look and my external exteriors of who I am. That is one part of myself. The second part of myself is the emotional part of me, of how I feel emotional about things. The third is the social part of me, my relationship with others and how I interact with everyone, and my relationship with others is what defines me. Also, my energies. Where are my energies concentrated? Where do I have all my energies fixed? The next is also my spiritual aspect, as to how much of my spiritual being. Please understand, I have been saying this again and again and again, that we are spiritual beings for a human experience and not human beings who are looking for a spiritual experience. It is very different. What we do is, when we look for spirituality, when we go to spirituality, what we are doing is that we are running away from the human that I was born to be and going to spirituality as an escape mechanism. Embracing spirituality or going to spirituality is basically a way of running away from who I was meant to be. We are already spiritual in our beings. We were a spirit who chose to be a human. I have to use my spiritual knowledge to be the best human I was meant to be. Now, when we are combining all these aspects, all of these make us who we are. Do we agree to this? All this in combination have made us who we are. And as children, we were conditioned who we should be and who we cannot be. I have been saying this again and again in all my talks, that conditioning was given to us so that we could regulate ourselves. Let me give you an analogy, an example. एक एग्जाम्पल देके मैं आप सबको बताती हूँ. इन माइथोलॉजी, जब गंगा हेवन से नीचे उतरी, तो वो इतने फोर्स से नीचे उतरी, इतनी पावर से नीचे उतरी कि शी वुड हैव डिस्ट्रॉयड द अर्थ विथ हर फोर्स. So what is the history, or what is it that mythology says, is that शंकर भगवान ने उसको अपनी जटाओं में बांध दिया. And then she started to flow from his jata, or started to flow from his hair. And why was that? Is basically, if you are not bound by that regulation, then you will destroy what might be the creation. इतना power है हम लोगों में. We are so powerful that if we are not bound by regulation, we might destroy creation. Do you understand the impact of the power that you are? And understand that when we speak of regulation, we feel very limited. We start to feel, array, these are rules and I'm bound and I'm limited. No, guys, these conditioning that are given to us are the jatas of existence. And we have to flow through them so that we integrate with existence and not destroy existence. Is this a powerful statement for all of you? Or do you think it is bullshit or nonsense? How many of you think it is powerful? How many of you think it is bullshit? How many
It's
of you are saying, pata nahi kya bol rahi hai? And it can definitely be on that stage. So definitely we can be in that state. Let's understand. Thank you. Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Sanika. Now understand that when we are talking of self-regulation, it is not to limit us. Self-regulation is very important because we have to eventually be the best versions of us by limiting all of us and integrating it and then flowing. No, you didn't understand. Thank you for that honesty, Rishti. What happens is, when I am regulating myself, usually how do we react? What is reaction? Is that just flow. And when we are flowing in reaction, we are only using one aspect of us. It could be a social aspect of me, it could be an emotional aspect of me, it could be a physical aspect of me. Are we combining all of it and then flowing in our whole true spiritual self? Or am I just flowing in a reaction? That is what I'm meaning to say. When I'm integrating all the parts of me and choosing wisely how to flow, that is when I am being the best version of me. Now, what do we understand by self-regulation? Let's understand what is this self-regulation in different ways and different means. At a physical level, understand the boundary of my spiritual experiences, the boundary of my human experiences is here in my body. So that is the boundary that I have chosen to be. So I have to experience my full spiritual being in the boundary of my body. Agree? Now, when I'm looking at the body, understand that when I perceive a limitation, when I perceive a trauma, now what is a limitation? A limitation is a perceived trauma because of a certain conditioning that I picked up. Okay. When we pick up this conditioning, we are also saying, I cannot be this person and I can be this person. So often when I'm holding trauma in my body, I have to cover it up with something because trauma is not easy to carry, no? Trauma is always challenging to carry. And I'll give you an example. I had a client who said, I'm just angry. I'm very angry. I'm angry with life. And I asked this client, okay, and how much of anger are you carrying in your body? How much of this anger are you carrying in the body? And the person said, I don't know. I said, okay. And what is the reason of your anger? Because usually anger is a secondary emotion, never a primary emotion. Do you get angry just because आज मेरे को गुस्सा करना है? I'm just angry. Are we angry just because? No. We are always angry because of. So when we are angry because of, just 1 second, Tushar, can you look at Cuddle? She's meowing in the background. So when we are angry because of, then there is a reason. And there are three reasons usually why we are angry. We are angry because we are sad. That is, I am responsible for my anger. We are angry because we are hurt. And you have given me a reason to be angry because I'm hurt by your actions and your emotions. And therefore I am angry. And I'm angry because I'm helpless. My environment is such that I cannot change it. And it is not allowing me to be myself. So anger is a secondary emotion because of helplessness, hurt, or sadness. So when I asked this person, what is your anger about? This person said, I am hurt. And I asked her, how hurt are you? How much of hurt are you carrying that you have to cover up it with anger? Now understand, the hurt is the victim. I felt like a victim when I was hurt. She covered it up with a defense mechanism of anger. I don't want to feel the hurt, so I'm defending my hurt with anger. Now she's carrying two set of emotions in the body. And I said, okay, now just don't think. And without thinking, just intuitively or impulsively tell me how much of hurt are you carrying in your body? And she said, I'm carrying 18 kgs of hurt. And I asked her, is that not the amount of weight that you're wanting to lose for so many months and years? And she had tears in her eyes. She had tears in her eyes. We carry it so much. And now imagine if you're carrying so much of anger and hurt in your body, then your body has to put on weight to carry it. So weight is something that you put on when you're not centered in the body. when there is no regulation to your emotion, is when we start to put on weight in the body. We are not born fat babies. We are born healthy babies. And if there is somebody who's born fat, then of course there is a karmic baggage that we are having. We'll talk about karma dharma in another time. But here, understand that when we are talking of weight, also the same thing. Now you'll ask me that how does the body react when people are very thin and skinny? They're thin and skinny because at an emotional level, we are telling ourselves, I have given up. I don't want to nurture myself. I don't want to do anything. I'm just resigning to the emotion. I am helpless. I just don't want to do anything. So what is our reaction usually? Fight or flight mechanism to every situation that is traumatizing. If it is fight or flight, if I'm putting on weight, I'm fighting. If I am losing weight, I have resigned and I have given up. So I am just saying, okay, helpless. Mujhe maar de, khatam kar de mujhe. And that is why we don't allow the food that goes in to become nurturance or nutritious, or we just stop eating. And that's how we punish our bodies or ourselves at an emotional level. Right? These are the boundaries that we are talking about, or self-regulation that we are talking about when we come to the physical self. Now, when we are talking of the emotional or the social self, let's first talk to the social self. When we talk about the social self, look at the relationships that we pick up. If our relationships are toxic, then you have to be thankful. Say, thank you so much, God, universe, whoever you want to believe in, and say, thank you for bringing these toxic people in my life because they're here to teach me a lesson. I have to understand what each and every toxic emotion is trying to teach me. Because there are no faulty emotions. It's only faulty perception of a situation. Understand, 1 minute, Drishti. Understand, we have a trauma in our childhood. Now, when there is a trauma, we feel helpless. We feel powerless. So to deal with the trauma, you create a defense mechanism. When you create a defense mechanism, the defense mechanism is, I don't want to feel like this. And it gives you a meaning of what it means to you. And then you cover up the defense mechanism with a coping mechanism as to how to cope with the defense, how to make the defense real for you. Okay. Like, for example, as a child, maybe I was wanting to be experimentative. Any other example that you might have? Because this is one example that keeps coming to me because that is my reality, that my curiosity was curbed. Any other example that you might have from your, any other situation that you might have? Okay, let's see. As a child, probably your mother, I had this one client again who had a memory that she was a 6-month-old baby and she was breastfeeding on her mother. And something happened in the family, some argument happened outside, not with the mother and the baby. And suddenly the mother pulled her off the breast and dumped her on the bed and went to fight the situation outside. Now, for that child, I am thrown out or I don't belong and I'm not supposed to nurture, because the one thing that is supposed to nurture me is my mother. And she has taken me off and she's put here. So what happened is, I do not belong became her thought. Now, if I don't belong, then I must become a pleaser to people, because if I don't please this, I will not survive. Imagine if you don't belong, you will not survive as that baby. Now, if you don't survive as that baby, then what happens is you will want to survive. That is why we were born. So then I become a pleaser. When this person became a pleaser, she was pleasing every relationship in her environment. She had a difficulty of saying no. How many of us have difficulties in saying no? Right? So that no, the difficulty in saying no comes from the situation where we are pleasers. We are afraid that if I say a no, then I will be rejected or I will not be accepted by people. And then the coping mechanism is you're telling yourself, "Arey yaar, kitna please karna padta hai. I don't want to be this person. Oh my God, these poor people are so difficult to please." That is how you cope when you please people and you're unhappy about it. The cognition is the coping mechanism here with the situation. Or understand every relationship. No person is good, bad, right, wrong, ugly, nothing. It is the perception of the situation that defines our action and our emotion to the situation. And because we made certain belief systems in our past, we are reacting in society in certain manners. If people are aligned to who I am, just give me a second. If people are aligned to who I am, then probably I like them. If people are showing me the mirror or are toxic to me, then I don't like them. I find them toxic and I want to avoid them. It's good to confront such people, because when you confront such people, then you are giving yourselves an opportunity to work on yourselves. So that is social regulation. Emotional regulation comes when we are looking at ourselves. We are asking ourselves, I am feeling this emotion. And if I'm feeling this emotion, then what am I doing? Am I having the rational image or a rational thought about the situation? I can promise you, most of the times, when we think we are logical and yet there is pain about a certain situation, then we are being irrational about that situation. Rationality and logic are two different things. And we confuse rationality and logic as one. They are not. We are logical, yet not rational. How many of you think it's okay to be jealous and it's absolutely good to be jealous? Okay, Preeti thinks, okay. Jaideep put his hand up and put his hand down. Preeti also put her hand up and she put her hand down. So there is a self-doubt. Okay, Krishna is saying it's okay. Vani is still wondering whether I should say a yes or no. You are muted, Vani. I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourselves to speak.
Yes, actually, jealousy, we should not be jealous about anything, but it is an emotion.
Yeah.
So there is no right and wrong till the time you are okay with it.
Yes. So jealousy is an emotion that is absolutely necessary. It's good. Jealousy is good if it's going to trigger ourselves to grow. It doesn't trigger yourselves to grow. Jealousy is a trigger. It helps you to grow. It doesn't trigger you to grow necessarily. It definitely might help you to grow if we are aware. Yes, Drishti, you had a question. I'm going to talk about jealousy and why it is important to be jealous. Hmm.
I have a question. Like, following this jealousy
Hmm.
topic, you said emotions are not toxic, it's our perception of it. So
Hmm.
jealousy, I perceive it as toxic.
Okay.
But doesn't emotions have their own vibrations? Like
Yes.
a jealous
Yes.
person is vibrating in a low emotion than a person
I
who's motivated.
definitely. But understand, I'm coming to that question. I'm going to answer it in the next explanation. Now,
Okay.
understand, when we talk of jealousy as an emotion, do you understand why do we get jealous? Let's understand and discuss this. Why do we get jealous? We get jealous because I don't see my power within. And when I see somebody else a little more powerful than me in a certain area of life, I am saying, Arey, this person is more powerful than me and I have done so much. So, one, I am challenging my deservability. Second, I am also understanding that I don't know my power. I don't understand I am powerful within. I am just saying that person is more lucky than I am. And that makes me jealous. If I'm jealous about that person, it's a good emotion. Like Jaideep said, Jaideep or Mukta, I don't know who typed that message, but one of you typed the message. If you all are saying that jealousy is important for us to grow, it is important not to put, many of us in a reaction to jealousy might want to pull that person down. This is where you are, and this is where you perceive the other person is in a jealousy factor. And you are angry that this person is above you. So sometimes what we do is we just go under this person and pull him down. Or we give explanations as to how this person has been unjust, कि कैसे उसने गलत किया है और ऊपर गया है. Or how this person does not deserve what he has. Or how this person must have been lucky from a past life or his karma, कि पिछले जन्म का अच्छा कर्म किया होगा जिसकी वजह से वो अभी मुझसे ऊपर है. And then we tell ourselves, okay, I have done so much of good karma, but I'm not getting paid for my good karma today. And I'll either get paid in the future or in the next lifetime. These are explanations we give ourselves because we are not feeling equal and powerful. The idea of coming to understanding jealousy well is to first understand that if this person can be here, it's great, because if I'm here, I just have to replicate what this person did to come here. Has this person not made our life easy? Because I just have to copy what this person has done and come here. Right? And then I'm equal to this person. If I'm equal to this person, then there is no jealousy. And then I can raise my vibrations further and not be worried about this. This will stop to exist for me because I have moved. I have grown. Jealousy, understand, we are going to talk about vibrations, Drishti, in some time when we talk about energy. Okay? Remind me if I miss the point out. So when we are talking of emotion and regulating our emotion, understand everything is about the self. We are talking about regulating ourselves. Understand that when we are regulating ourselves, we can't expect somebody else to do things differently because I am hurting. Often when we love each other or when we care for each other, we do things for each other. How many of us think that because we love each other, we are doing something for the other? Please put your hand up and say, yes, I do things for the other. Do we? Do we do things for others?
I
Okay,
think
lovely.
that, sorry,
Yes.
but
You muted yourselves, Krishna.
I think that, ma'am, sometimes.
Okay. Let me break this myth for all of you. You do things for others because you want them to love you, or you want them to see how much you love them and what all you are doing for them. It is your need, girls and boys and men and women. Doing things for others is your need, not this person's need.
So
Does this make sense? Yes,
I have a
Preeti.
question. So in this, does a responsibility also come, even if it's not a need, but is it a responsibility? Like say when you do for your in-laws or your
Okay, stop.
husband.
Preeti, why would you want to do it for your in-laws? Why would you want to do it for your in-laws? Where is the rule that says that a daughter-in-law has to do for her in-laws?
वो सारी जिंदगी सुनना पड़ेगा.
You can always, no, I understand. And you can turn around and tell the family members that, yes, I know that there are expectations and I want to belong to the family, but here I'm not able to deliver. I'm sorry. We have bound ourselves with conditioning that says कि बहू की duty and responsibility A, B, C, D, E, F. And nobody got you to sign a contract when you got married into the family. It is just unsaid rules of the family which we have picked up because at a certain level, if I didn't wear a sari at a certain occasion, everybody turned around and bitched about me. And that bitching that the family did about me made me uncomfortable. And therefore, I became a pleaser to the family values and I started to wear a sari in certain occasions. But if I turn around and I tell myself कि no, मेरा साड़ी पहनना family values के खिलाफ नहीं जा रहा. If I'm comfortable in my skin with a certain outfit that I'm wearing, and I can be myself and I can truly connect to my family, it's okay. And what is wrong if they say कि अरे बहु cultured नहीं है? Does wearing a sari or does wearing a salwar kameez define the culture? We have bound ourselves with these rules. It is social acceptability. We want society to call us ideal bahus, ideal mothers. And what is ideal? Please tell me. Let me tell you, you were the best person at a spiritual level. If you are trying to understand situations from a spiritual level, you are brought into a family because you are the perfect fit for the family, either to disrupt their whole family values or to integrate into those family values, because you will grow into the family or the family will grow into you. You choose a toxic partner because that partner is going to change you or you are going to change the partner. And if the partner is going to change you, then understand you are powerless because you're not holding on to what is strongly you. And then you say, oh my God, I have changed so much after marriage. I have lost so much of myself after coming into this family. I don't have the freedom to be myself in this family. What is the worst that will happen if I don't do what the family has not defined it? The family has not defined what I should do, but it is an unsaid norm of the family. कि ये करना है. Who told you? Let me tell you this very upfront. When I moved from Bahrain to India, I had no choice but to send my 5-year-old son alone from Dahisar to Santa Cruz to school by train. 5 साल का बच्चा, 5 साल का बच्चा अकेला घर से निकल के बस में बैठ के ट्रेन से जाके. एंड एट दैट टाइम द Santa Cruz flyover had not happened from the station to the across SV road, so he had to cross the crowded SV road. As a norm, no parent I know would agree to doing something like this. And I have heard a lot of reprimands saying, how can you be such an insensitive woman? How is your career more important? How can you not understand that it's only 5 years old? He can't wash his own ass. How is he going to cross the road? And then I said, stop. If this is happening to him, am I doing it because it is my personal need? Or is it because somewhere it is the best option I have? And then when my son started to do this and he became so fiercely independent, everybody turns around and praises him and says, wow, what a value system, Pallavi, you instilled in your child. He's so independent at such a young age. Now, the same mother who was a horrible mother has become the best mother because her son has turned out to be good. If this turned out to be bad and negative, then I would receive more slack. But was my intention to destroy the child, or was my intention to maybe empower my child to take responsibility and maybe mature before time? Don't we all expect our children to be mature? Now look at everybody who is parent. Aren't we expecting our children to be mature? And don't we take pride in our children being mature? Oh my God, what a mature child is. छोटी उम्र में कितना maturity दिखाता है. And then I was reprimanded because I was taking away the childhood of my child. I'm sorry, but that didn't happen because he's still a child. He's 25 years old. He's still a child at heart. I love the way he connects and he throws his tantrums and says, Mama, I want you to cook for me every single day when I come. And he's already given me a list of things he wants to eat when he comes back. The idea is the child in him is still alive. He didn't lose his childhood. So who's going to define what is right parenting and what is wrong parenting? Or what is right way to behave with an in-law. As long as our intentions are aligned with our actions, let us be okay with it. Am I losing my essence in a social relationship, or am I empowering people to be themselves in a social interaction? Am I judging others? Understand, people judge me when I am judging others. And I end up judging others because I have been judged so many times that I feel it's okay for me to judge them. And we do it so unconsciously that it is a norm. It's okay to be judgmental. So, understanding self-regulation in the physical aspect, which is our physical body, understanding social regulation in social aspects, understanding regulations in emotional aspects. Okay. Now, let's come to energetic. We are all vibrating at different levels of energy. Do we also have in our own heads the concept that I gel along with a certain sect of society, somebody below that sect of society and somebody above that sect of society are a no-no? Why do we do this? Is basically because I am vibrating at a certain level of energy. Somebody below me is like, no, I can't do this. Somebody above me is, oh my God, how can they do this? Now understand, when we are vibrating at a certain energy, that is defined by my emotions. Because every emotion I carry in my body is actually defining the energy or the frequency of the energy at which I vibrate. If I have negative emotions in my body, which I carry throughout the day or throughout my experiences so far, negative energies are very deep, intense, and short in duration and frequency. Happy emotions will take a slow curve. So like if this is the time frame, a positive emotion will go like this. A negative emotion will go like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. Now, what happens is, in this time frame, you have experienced a negative emotion multiple times because the frequency of the emotion is very strong. A positive emotion is slow, gradual, and is in the same amount of time you've experienced a positive emotion once or maybe twice. And that is why we end up concentrating more on the negatives of life than the positives of life. Look at how we experience life. When we begin our day and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things have gone wrong in our day, how easy it is for us to say, oh, I'm having a bad day. But if I move my attention and I look at the positive experiences or the happy experiences or the neutral experiences I've had in my life, I can promise you they have overweighed the negative experiences. But have we concentrated or have we paid attention to those emotions? Now, is that wrong? No, absolutely not. Why are we paying more attention to negative emotions and negative energies? Is because when I experience a negative, I don't like it. So now I am alert. I don't want this to happen. 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 So we are more alert in what I don't want things to happen. And therefore, I'm concentrating on what should not happen, what should not happen, what should not happen. And therefore, what is my mind recording? What is my memory recording? What should not happen? Am I recording what should happen? And that is the seed that we are sowing in our mind. And your mind is only going to multiply everything that you're sowing. If you're going to sow a seed of doubt, a seed of I don't want, what are you going to reap? I don't want is what you're going to reap. Then rather sow the seed of what you want. I know, easy said than done. We have been conditioned from childhood to take care of the negatives, not of the positives. Look at us and the education system that we follow. When our child scores excellent in a particular subject and not so excellent in another subject, we are pushing our child to bring this score up. We are not saying, oh, lovely, you've done so well in this subject. And we are saying, chhod de isko. It's okay not to do this. What about this? What we are doing, talk to me, Mihika. Sorry, Mihika ne, Mukta.
I just
What?
I just said that we did the same thing with our daughter. In
Yeah.
fact, she subject wise she was very weak in maths and science, and she was excellent in language. And that's what we did. We told her, pursue your languages and let go the maths and science. It's okay. That will take care when it wants
Yes,
to. Right now, languages you are good at, pursue that. So that's
that's
what I was
lovely.
telling Pradeep.
That is mindful parenting, Mukta. And I'm really happy you did this, you're aware. And just 1 minute, Preeti. So what happens is it takes a lot of mindfulness on our part when we are allowing our child or when we are praising the child. I'm going to come to that again, and I'm going to talk about what we might have done incorrectly with our child, even when we praise the child for something that's good, and how unknowingly we condition the child otherwise. I'm going to come to that point also. Preeti, you have a question.
Yeah, so this is not a question. It's the same thing. I really don't know whether I did a mistake or what it
Hmm.
was. So, touch with both my kids were very bright academically, and when they
Hmm.
score, like 96 on 100, 97 on 100. So, the first question that came to me, oh, where did your 3 marks go? What was the
Right.
mistake that was done?
Hmm.
So, somewhere I feel that it was a little impactful, probably to them, where I am, the praise did follow, but at the same time it was constant being a very analytic about it, being analysis and thinking on saying, okay, where were your 3, where was that 4, so that you can do much better.
Hmm. Now understand, Preeti, one, you're not a bad parent. Okay. You are actually, when we do things in an unawareness, believe me, you are giving the child what he truly needs as a stimulus to grow. Okay. However, when I become an aware parent and then I am pushing the child for the 3 and the 4, I have to ask myself, is it because I am using my child as a trophy child? Or am I motivating my child to be better than what he or she was in the previous exam? Okay. One, often I have done that with my child. I have made him a trophy child to such an extent that today my son, who's 35, is not able to make social relationships because he put himself on the pedestal. I put him on a pedestal saying, you are superior than most of them, so you have to perform better than most of them. And now all the friends and people in his peer group are not his friends because he has put himself on a pedestal because I did that as a child to him. Okay, that is one. Another thing is that, did I pat my child enough on the back for achieving what he did? Because if my child was patted like, wow, it is amazing, it's so nice that this is what you've achieved, do you think you can do this? Can we just put a target of 1 more mark next time? That is motivation. When my child brings a report card to me and I see 3-4 marks less, and the first thing I notice is the lack of what is not, I have discounted the 97% of the perfection that he was or she was. And unfortunately, I have done that. I have been there, and it is coming from unawareness because I'm trying to be a good mother. I'm trying to be a mother that people are going to say, oh, you've done a good job. When my son scores well, people say, oh, wow, you've done so well as a mother. And that child is adding to my self-worth. It's a social pressure that I'm putting on the child to add to my value and my worth. Okay. Now understand, when I'm talking to Jaideep and Mukta and everybody else, we are praising one child for his strengths and her weaknesses, his strengths and his weaknesses. But when the child sees that my sibling receives more praise and more acceptance for certain thing that he or she does, and I don't receive the same recognition from society, not from the parent itself, but from society, then the child begins to feel that, oh, no, 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 I am not capable of being here. But my parents are just being generous to me and are just pushing me because they don't think I'm worthy of being here. I'll give you an example. When both my children have 10 years ka difference between them. So when my elder son was hit and pura bad parenting, unaware bad parenting happened with my elder son, and absolutely aware parenting happened with the younger one. So the elder one got beating, shouting for not getting that 2 marks, 3 marks that he missed, and not being the perfect child. And then when the younger one was born, I was wiser, and then I didn't punish him and push him to do this. When this happened, my younger one turned around and told me one day, "You don't think I'm capable to become as smart or as good as the Dada, no? उतना मेरी औकात ही नहीं है ना मम्मा, इसीलिए आप मेरे को मारते नहीं हो, आप मेरे को पीटते नहीं हो, आप मुझे पनिश नहीं करते हो." Now understand, when the child sees that after being hit and after being reprimanded, this child is on a pedestal, he also wants to be on a pedestal. And if he's not on this pedestal and my mother is not treating me equally, that means I'm not worthy only of being on the pedestal. And here I'm saying mother because it's my experience. It could be the father, it could be the grandparents, it could be the society, anybody. So understand, we really, can I be aware at which level of emotion are my children vibrating? Because I can do this only if I recognize myself. And that is why the whole topic of self-regulation. I can give only what I have. If I don't recognize my emotions, if I don't recognize my energy, if I don't recognize my social norms, I am going to just do things in automation and not in awareness. So we are talking of energies, low frequency energies. That means negative emotions are vibrating at a higher frequency and in less amount of time. Happier emotions happen in less frequency. And so therefore we have to be aware of which frequency are we vibrating at emotionally. And that is the regulation of the energy. And of course, when I talk of the spiritual energy or the spiritual being that I am, I have to ask myself, am I being the person who I was meant to be? Or am I becoming a person who the society wants me to become? Often, because of conditioning, I have lost so many parts of me, which we call as the inner children or which we call as the shadow parts of me. And I have lost them. They're gone deep into my unconscious mind. They're so suppressed. They're so suppressed and they're so condensed in my deep unconscious that I'm not even aware that I have these parts of me. So when I'm aligned, what happens when I'm aligned is I have to be aware as to what am I vibrating, what are the emotions that I am feeling, what is it that I have learned from my conditioning, and which conditioning am I using right now. It's okay to be generous, it's okay to be stingy. I have to realize when I should be generous and when I should be stingy. Now, this is about the experience I had yesterday, the accident that happened, and I was in unawareness. I had gone down, I feed community animals in the evening. My husband and I both do this. So yesterday I went down to feed the animals and I saw one cat right in the middle of the road and there was a bus speeding towards her. And instantly the mother instinct took over and I felt that, oh, this cat is going to die under the bike, under the car, bus. And the bus guy saw her and he braked. He didn't run over her. But the motherly instinct and the rescuer in me took over so instantaneously that I missed being aware of my footsteps. And I tumbled and I tumbled and I was trying, in awareness, I was trying to, like, no, let's get back our balance, but I couldn't get back that balance. And I felt so hard on the floor. And there was a car which was parked here and I went and I banged my face into the car. And the impact was like this and it jerked my neck. So today that stiff neck. Understand that accidents happen only when I'm unaware. If you are living in awareness, I promise you there will be no accidents. There will be no accidents. Even financial losses, when people have lost their wallets, when people have lost money, it is basically because they were not aware in that moment, or they were preoccupied somewhere else, and therefore something in the external environment took away what was rightfully theirs. So when I'm not living in awareness, when I'm not centered enough, I have losses. Whether it is physical health, emotional health, social health. I lose relationships when I'm not grounded and I'm not emotionally stable. When I'm not centered enough to understand what's happening with me. And I can promise you, in spite of all these talks that I'm having, in spite of the awareness that I think I have, I think I'm only aware 30 to 40% of the times of my life. There is still 70% of my life which happens in unawareness. Yes, but because I am aware that I'm not aware, I can bring back my awareness to what happened and ensure that this unawareness does not happen in the future in most areas of my life. Yes, tell me, Vrishti.
Can you tell us one exercise or something we can do when we are like, when we know we've been unaware and there's not like something like sitting down for like 5 minutes of breathing or something? I don't know.
Okay. So I have given those exercises in our previous talk, writing a letter to your mother. Because in most of the situations, we have, now understand again, I'm repeating this again from a previous talk, that our relationship with our father is the relationship I share with my provider, the universe or the God. And my relationship with my mother is defined by my relationship with the earth, which is my nurturer. Earth is nurturing me in every way, and the universe is providing me with what I need. And the relationship with these is defined by how and what I have learned from my mother. So writing a letter, a continuous letter every single day to your mother is the key to increase your awareness. So you start your letter, I mean, you begin the situation by saying, today I had this experience and I was unaware. And I was unaware because a certain thought or a certain situation was running in my head. When this situation was happening, I was making this meaning of the situation. Let me go back to this example of the cat. When I was walking, I was in full attention. The minute I saw the cat, the mother instinct or the rescuer kicked in because I saw a victim outside. And that triggered the victim in me. The victim in me was, I need to be rescued. Now, because I want myself to be rescued, I am rescuing the cat. I could have left it and said, Uska karam hai, let God take care of him or her. But I didn't wait for God to take care. Hey, Bhagwan, tu so raha hai kahin, it is my responsibility to go and save the cat. So I rushed. In this whole rush, I became unaware of my physical environment. And I didn't see a ramp and on which I stumbled. When I stumbled, I didn't stop there. That stumble could have just stopped instantly and I would have got back my balance. But I was so invested in rescuing that cat that I didn't realize that I'm stumbling and stumbling. And the third time I stumbled again, I had already lost the plot and I went and banged. And so conveniently, the cat just walked past and came and sat in front of me, staring at me. The cat was staring at me. क्या हुआ? खाना खिला रही है क्या इंसान? And imagine the rescuer in me is so strong that in spite of the hurt, in spite of the bruises that I have, I put the paper in front of her, first fed her, and the shopkeepers around me are saying, Madam, पहले अपना ख्याल तो करो, वो बिल्ली को 10 मिनट बाद खाना खिलाओ. And what I am saying, नहीं नहीं वो निकल जाएगी, वो रुकेगी नहीं. Whose need is it to feed the cat? Is it the cat's need to eat or is it my need to feed the cat? My need. My need to feel the rescuer. My need to feel the provider to that cat. And before taking care of myself, I am feeding the cat. She eats, she goes away. I pick up the leftover food. I go across the street and feed the rest of the food to the dog. And then I come back and I sit and I take the ice that the shopkeeper is offering me to put it on my face and on my bruises. Am I important or not important? In that minute, I made myself unimportant. And look at how many times we do this to ourselves. What is my responsibility? To take care of myself first. When the aircraft is in a situation, what am I supposed to do? Wear my mask first before I put up the mask for my child. And every situation which seems less life-threatening, I am rescuing others before me. And not because it is their need, it is my need not to feel guilty later. Does that answer your question, Drishti? Yeah. So we have come to the end of the session. We have another 7 minutes to go. If there are any questions, I would love to answer because these are never ending conversations. But I hope we have a clarity about what self-regulation means and how do we practice self-regulation. Yeah. May I request people, if you have questions, let's ask them. Let's take them from here on. Yes, Preeti, please ask.
Yeah. Could you just brief up or summarize little in a line or two? Okay, what was that self-regulation about and how do we do it in a daily practice?
So self-regulation is to understand where I am right now. What is the emotion I am feeling right now? Why am I feeling this emotion? There is, you don't feel anything just because. So there is a situation. I perceive the situation based on my thoughts and my conditioning. I perceive the situation as happy, or I perceive the situation as sad or bad or out of control. And when I perceive it, then my defense mechanism comes up and it says, oh, I don't want to feel this. So let me defend this emotion. Let me not feel this emotion. And then we slowly add a coping mechanism, which is an action to that defense. So becoming aware, always understand there are three things that you have to be aware. The victim in me, which is the situation that has triggered the victim in me. The second aspect is the emotion that I feel in that situation. And that is the defense mechanism. And then the thought that covers up the defense mechanism, which is the coping mechanism. Preeti, you have the book Reflections. There are examples of the defense mechanism and the coping mechanisms in that book. The victim that I feel, the defense that I feel, it's called a triangle. It's called a drama triangle. And we are going to talk about the drama triangle the next week.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
understand that these are the things that we become aware. And it's a good idea if we actually write down these situations, one or two situations on this week, through this upcoming week. When did I feel like a victim? What did I do to defend this victim? And how did I cope with the defense mechanism? Bring the situation, and if you feel that, oh, I haven't done this right, just write down the situation and how did you find your resolution. I'll help you figure out where did you lose the plot. Yeah. Yes, Drishti.
Is it not again sowing the seed of what is negative if we
No.
constantly write down?
Writing down is putting the emotion out. When you think it, you're adding things into your body. When you're writing, you're putting it outside of your body. It's like, having a hard drive, which is outside of you. Otherwise, you're going to overload your laptop or your computer. And then there is no space for creation. But when you put everything on a hard disk outside of your computer, you're creating space for freedom. And you're setting yourselves free so that you can pick one thing. See, if I put everything in my head today, when I start to look at situations, I'm putting myself in an overwhelm because everything is going to come to my awareness at one go. But when I put it on a hard drive outside and I pick one thing to regulate, it's easier. I don't need to look at every problem I have at one go. So therefore, writing is a healing activity. Thinking is a negative activity because I end up overthinking and I end up becoming anxious. So writing is a very good activity. It's a good thing to write. It's outside of you. You're not reinforcing, you're putting it outside. When you think, you reinforce and you put things inside. Make
Then why do
sense?
we write affirmations?
Sorry?
Then why
Why
do
do
we
you?
write affirmations?
Affirmations are positive. You would want to have positive energy inside of you because you're vibrating at a positive energy. But
Okay.
like I told you this once also, if you have negativity koot ke inside you, and on that you put an affirmation ka ice cream, it's still a shit cone.
Yeah.
You are never going to eat it.
Okay.
You're never going to be able to consume it. Because the negative emotion is the shit cone and you're putting affirmation on it. Sorry, boss, not done. Will not help. And therefore, I don't believe in ready-made affirmations. I would rather customize affirmations based on who I am and what I feel. When I write an affirmation, I'm asking myself, do you believe in it truly? And I promise you, if you believe in something truly, you don't need an affirmation. 1 minute, Vidushi. You don't need an affirmation. Do you affirm? I'm breathing and alive. I'm breathing and alive. I'm breathing and alive. It's so true to you that it is hey. Affirmations are basically changing your vibrational energy to get what you want. But if there is a shit ton of nonsense in you, deep down, suppressed, that affirmation will have to be so much. It's like, understand, you have a jar full of murky water and you are putting fresh water in it to clear out the murk. Imagine how much of clean water do you have to put in that jar to take out the murky water completely for this water to be edible. And do we have the time and the patience and the will to write affirmations so many times and be so aware so often? Think how much of fresh water do you have to put in that jar to take out that murky water? Yes, yes, Vidushi, your question.
Pallavi, first of all, very happy new year to you. And you're
Wish.
looking very pretty. I know you've hurt yourself, but I couldn't figure that out. You're looking very pretty today.
Yes, and some surprisingly nobody asked me why the bindi. I
I
don't
don't know.
use
I
a
love
bindi.
you in this look. It really looks beautiful.
I don't do things, especially before our talks. I make sure that my actions are very purposeful. So the bindi has also got to do with self-regulation. Okay, I'm going to
Wow.
answer your question.
But I love the earrings and everything. You look really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Third is, I know it doesn't pertain to this talk, but in this example of you falling down and all, I feel I should ask this question because I really want to know it for myself. What is self love and self worth? Is it connected or no?
Yes, I think everything in life is connected, definitely. Self-love is something where I love myself for whoever I am. I accept every part of me. However, there are certain parts of me that add to my worth and certain parts of me that take away my worth. Okay? If I'm cruel, when I'm judging myself or when I'm adding worth to myself, I'm saying the cruel part of me doesn't add worth to me. So that is a rejected part of me. Self-worth comes from self-love, but the self-love says I accept the cruel part of me also. Now the cruelty is I'm killing mosquitoes in my house. I'm killing cockroaches in my
Cockroaches.
house. I just told Tushar yesterday, Tushar, I hate the sticky traps. I don't use sticky traps, but I had so much of cockroach infestation in my house that I had to use a sticky trap for the cockroaches. And when I picked up that trap and I saw a cockroach wiggling, desperation made it stuck on the trap, but it is alive. And I told Tushar, this is the worst form of death for that cockroach. Because it is stuck. It can't move. It is going to die of starvation and thirst. Please leave, Preeti. Perfect. All right. Thank you for joining our talk today.
Thank you so much.
And when we are talking of this, understand that a cruel part of me I have, I understand, but the cruel part of me is overpowering because my safety or my cleanliness is something that is taking precedence. Am I cruel because it gives me pleasure? No, I am
No.
cruel because my security and my safety is challenged. And therefore, I'm being cruel. And I told Tushar, no, I don't want this trap in my house. Let me kill those animals more peacefully than the sticky trap. And I just am feeling so miserable about it. Yesterday, I mean, I was in such a bad state that I couldn't see the suffering of that cockroach, which was otherwise going to harm me in some way or the other, maybe perceived harm. Okay. Accepting the cruel part of me is self-love. But does the cruel part of me add to my self-worth? No, it does not. When I see the cruel part of me and when I make modifications to my behavior, then that adds to my self-worth. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Self-worth versus self-love.
Also to accept that
The
emotion.
cruel. Yes, I am cruel. Accepting
So
that I'm cruel.
the wholesome being accepted.
Because you have to accept both the sides of the polarity. I have to accept that I'm cruel and I'm also very sensitive. I am loving and I'm also not loving. I am rejecting. These are parts of me that make me human. Who is a human? The human is a combination of the dark side, which we call the devil, and the light side, which we call the God. And we are a combination of both. And I can't be one or none. I have to be both for my survival. And that is why we are switching like a pendulum here and there.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So thank you so much for attending the talk.